So I was looking at them. There's a couple because there was a video that came out a week earlier where people didn't want to say whether it was burning until they confirmed it. But the guy you see in the video is very obviously the same guy you see in the picture. He's wearing the same clothes, the same watch, the same chain around his foot. Where he'd actually, in another photo, the Chicago Tribune showed a woman who may have been doing a death in, something I've seen Black Lives Matter do a lot, where they lay down on the ground and pretend to be dead. He and another protester seemed to have chained themselves to her, try and stop the police. But it's all been confirmed by the campaign and Chicago Tribune, so there's no more Joy Reid and K-parting to worry about here, hopefully. So I just can't stop looking at them because I think it's really interesting. I love that he was resisting arrest was his charge. That's something that I'm sure Black Lives Matter activists have talked about quite a lot. The whole getting arrested for resisting arrest without any other charge. It's very interesting that he got the same charge over 50 years ago.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Well, how would you rate? I mean, I know you're biased. You're already pro Bernie, but how would you rate these pictures starting to surface?
I
Uh,
think I think if we had 2 weeks instead of a week for the South Carolina primary, I think it could make a serious dent.
mhm.
Um, it could definitely get Bernie within. It could still something if they use this smartly and did an interesting social media campaign and media campaign on this, they could maybe get South Carolina into single digits in the next week, especially if they win here in Nevada today. But I don't know what the impact's going to be. I know March is going to be crazy. There's going to be white states. There's going to be black states. I really don't know how this is going to play.
Okay, well, we'll have to see then, because it seems like, I mean, I do know that I live in North Carolina. I know that there are literally buses of people driving down to North Carolina. They left yesterday, and they are just going berserk to help down there. It's, I mean, I don't know how much history you guys know about the First World War, but there is, when the Germans, they neared Paris, there was the sense of urgency that German armed forces would uh, actually would occupy uh, Paris, their beloved city. The entire citizenry helped all that they could, and the taxi drivers famously drove soldiers who arrived at the Paris train stations, and then they drove soldiers a couple of miles outside of Paris directly to the front, and drove back and picked up more. And there are quite a few lovely both poems and stories about tipping and not tipping from that era, but it's the same, not exactly the same, but to the same extent and sense of urgency is happening with regards to South Carolina. I remember a week ago I saw tweets from people from Michigan actually tweeting that, okay, now I'm leaving for 2 weeks to go help in South Carolina, and now a large chunk of the volunteers in North Carolina has just up and left and gone down to South Carolina to help canvass, to help bring out the vote, to help spread the word. So all in all, I think South Carolina is gonna surprise and most likely upset quite a few more people than the pundits and prophets believe that they will. I believe
Yeah.
that.
If no one else wants to say anything about that, I will say, yeah, definitely. I think the ground game also in South Carolina and a lot of other states is underestimated. You know, Rachel was the first one in the mainstream media to break the story, and I think it's going to mean a lot for March 1st. We could have some surprises. Oklahoma, people said, could be a wild card. It could go either way. Bernie Strong and Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Colorado as well. And so I think the ground game and the volunteers busing around the country and getting asked if people can drive them across states just to volunteer for Bernie, it's something that pundits have missed, but you really can't blame almost anyone. And how do you account for that, something like that, from a metric? How do you predict that people are just going to do that? You can't really do that without just seeing it and hearing it. So I think there are some factors that aren't being factored in with a lot of these states in terms of ground game.
But don't you think that that also has to do with the fact that the pundits, they don't know what's going on in the rest of America? I mean, we keep talking about the 1%, but the pundits is generously set at about the 10% mark, and they still don't know what's going on. They don't know what the desperation is. They don't know how few good jobs are left.
Yeah, I don't think they understood the passion and how far people would be willing to go for this election, doing things they didn't even do for Obama 8 years ago for this random guy who even I can say didn't have the same level of charisma in his orations that Obama did, but they still are willing to just come out and dedicate themselves to this campaign. And on both sides, they've just been caught completely back-footed. Like they still haven't recovered from it to give any real analysis.
Okay. Can you keep talking a bit? I just got a piece of news that I have to check out. This is possibly breaking news.
I think G says she has something she'd like to say.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think the reason that a lot of pundits are getting it wrong is because, number one, a lot of them are calling, to get their polls and that, they're calling landlines. Not a lot of millennials have landlines anymore. Landlines are mostly people that are like over 50 at least. I don't even have a landline, and I'm 62. So I don't think, they're not calling cell phones. They're calling, and also this particular Democratic race is like way different than even the Obama-Clinton race. This is more about a total revolution of what people have been feeling angry about, that they felt nobody has been listening to them. And I think that's why the pundits are getting it wrong, because they're still marking along the old traditional GOP Democratic lines of Bill Clinton, even Obama, and George Bush. That whole political landscape was the education for what's happening now. And I think that's another reason why, too, Hillary can't seem to make a step without putting her foot in it, because she doesn't understand that the whole political landscape has changed. It's about something totally different than it was 8 years ago. And I think a lot of people also feel as though they've been sold out. They thought they were voting for a progressive, and they feel like they've been kind of sold out by Obama. He's done a lot of good things, but you got to also remember that he is pushing the TPP, and people don't want that, and they feel like, why would you be doing something like that? Why would you be pushing the TPP? That's going to shift more jobs away. So I think that's why this political landscape is really different. I think that's why there's a whole lot of surprises happening, and also the fact that Bernie is not stupid. Bernie has been in the political arena for decades. I have to laugh when Hillary goes, "Oh, I have all this experience." She doesn't have near the experience that Bernie had. Bernie's been in the Congress, he's been in the Senate. He's been doing a lot of things behind the scenes that people just aren't aware of. He's a very effective politician, and I think he's been working in a lot of these states to gain a good constituency, even even earlier in the primaries. And people aren't aware of that. It's all been done covertly. It's really been played brilliantly. If you want to know the truth, I think it's been a brilliant play on Bernie's part.
It really has. Okay, thanks for that commentary. Okay, we're going to check.